The 5 Piso 1998 coin of the Philippines stands as one of the most significant numismatic issues in modern Philippine history, not only because of its value in circulation, but also because of its design, its background, its political and cultural symbolism, and the transitions it represented in the economic and historical timeline of the nation. This coin was part of the new BSP series, which was first issued in 1995 after the re-establishment of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, and it remained one of the most recognized denominations throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s. The 1998 issue of the 5 Piso coin carries particular significance because it marked the centennial celebration of Philippine independence from Spain in 1898, and thus the coin not only carried monetary worth but also became a circulating symbol of national pride, heritage, and the struggle for sovereignty. The 1998 5 Peso coin was issued in nickel brass, a sturdy and shining alloy that gave the coin its golden appearance and made it distinct from other smaller denominations. In circulation, the coin was round with a diameter of 27 millimeters and a weight of 7.7 grams, with a reeded edge, making it easy to identify by touch and feel for everyday users. The obverse side of the coin bore the portrait of Emilio Aguinaldo, the first president of the Philippines, who played a central role in the Declaration of Independence in 1898. His presence on the coin linked directly to the centennial celebration, as Aguinaldo had been the leader of the revolutionary government and the figure most associated with the Philippine Revolution against Spain. The text on the obverse included the words Republika ng Pilipinas and the year of minting, 1998, placed near the lower part of Aguinaldo's portrait. The choice of Aguinaldo as the main figure on the 5 Piso coin symbolized the bravery, leadership, and historical contribution of the man who formally raised the Philippine flag for the first time on June 12, 1898 in Kawit, Cavite. During the Declaration of Independence, the designers of the coin wanted it to stand not only as a medium of trade, but also as a circulating monument to history and culture, thereby reminding every Filipino citizen of the sacrifices of their forefathers each time the coin exchanged hands. The reverse side of the 5 Piso 1998 coin displayed the official seal of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, which was newly created in 1993 after replacing the old central bank. The seal featured 3 stars and a sun elements that trace back to the Philippine flag and symbolize liberty, sovereignty, and the unity of the nation. The text Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas encircled the seal, emphasizing the authority of the central bank in maintaining the integrity and trust of Philippine currency. The placement of the BSP logo was intentional to establish the new institutional identity of the central bank, while also asserting its credibility after economic challenges of the previous decades. In terms of minting, the 1998 5 Peso coin was produced at a time when the Philippine economy was facing major shifts, including the Asian financial crisis of 1997 and the government's efforts to stabilize the peso amidst regional instability. The coin therefore entered circulation in an era when its purchasing power still carried weight for ordinary Filipinos, being enough to buy small goods, snacks, and transportation fares for millions of citizens. The 5 Piso became a daily companion in wallets, pockets, and coin purses. It served both practical purposes and nationalistic symbolism in the hearts of Filipinos who understood its commemorative nature. Collectors today view the 1998 5 Piso as a key numismatic piece because of its historical importance, its connection to the centennial celebration, and its relatively limited production compared to other dates. While millions were minted to ensure circulation in daily trade, the centennial mark elevated its cultural status, making it more desirable for those seeking to preserve a piece of the nation's independent story in metallic form. This coin also set a precedent for later commemorative issues, reminding future governments and central bankers of the symbolic power that coinage carries beyond its face value. From a professional perspective, the artistry of the coin deserves recognition. The rendering of Aguinaldo's portrait is bold and clear, with sharp lines giving him a dignified appearance. The nickel-brass composition not only gave the coin longevity and circulation, but also distinguished it from silver-colored denominations, making it immediately recognizable by the public. The balance between text symbols and portrait demonstrated the careful thought of the engravers and designers who merged aesthetics with national identity in a compact piece of metal. The 1998 issue also raises fascinating historical debates among collectors and historians alike. Some argue that the coin was not merely a commemorative item, but also a political statement by the Philippine government to remind its people of the century-long journey from Spanish colonization to a modern republic. Others view the selection of Aguinaldo as controversial because of his later role in conflicts with fellow revolutionaries, such as Andres Bonifacio, and his eventual surrender to American forces. Yet regardless of these debates, the coin cemented his legacy in Philippine currency history and provided future generations a tangible link to 1898. Even in the modern-day decades after its release, the 1998 5-peso coin still circulates among collectors and enthusiasts, while many have been worn down from years of use. The commemorative 1998 date remains a highlight in Philippine numismatics, with well-preserved examples commanding interest in auctions and collector circles. It is often sought after by both local and international numismatists who recognize the cultural value of the coin as a representation of Philippine resilience, independence, and nationhood. The coin stands at the intersection of art, economy, and history. It is not simply a medium of exchange, but a storyteller of a nation's pride, a silent witness to countless daily transactions, and a symbol of the centennial moment when the Philippines remembered and celebrated the courage of its revolutionary heroes through currency. This explains why a simple object like the 5-peso 1998 coin can support hours of detailed discussion, analysis, and appreciation, whether examined through its physical specifications, design, symbolism, economic context, or its enduring place in collections. The coin is a chapter of Philippine history that fits in the palm of the hand. The story of the 5-peso coin minted in 1998 cannot be fully understood without placing it within the broader framework of Philippine numismatics and the national journey leading up to the centennial of independence. Coins have always been more than mere instruments of trade. They are reflections of power, authority, culture, and ideology. Each coin that has entered Philippine circulation since the Spanish colonial era tells its own unique story, and the 1998 5-peso coin stands in this long lineage as a modern bearer of both tradition and commemoration. The design choice to feature General Emilio Aguinaldo was deliberate and deeply symbolic, for Aguinaldo represents the pivot point between colonial subjugation and the assertion of national identity. His leadership in the Philippine Revolution, particularly his role in the June 12, 1898 Declaration of Independence in Kawit, Cavite, made him the logical figure to immortalize in metal for the centennial celebration. The use of nickel-brass alloy was not merely an artistic decision, it also reflected the need for coins that could withstand heavy circulation in the daily lives of millions. The bright golden tone of the 5-peso coin allowed it to stand out among other denominations, making it instantly recognizable and giving it a symbolic luster that matched the celebratory nature of the centennial. The reeded edge served both practical and symbolic functions, preventing counterfeiting and aligning the coin with international minting standards, while also subtly representing continuity. The grooves around the coin could be interpreted as the many struggles and triumphs that surrounded Philippine nationhood. The historical timing of the coin's release deserves special focus. The year 1998 was not only the 100th anniversary of independence from Spain, but also a politically charged period in the Philippines. It was the final year of President Fidel V. Ramos, who had overseen the preparations for the nationwide centennial festivities, and it was also the year when Joseph Estrada assumed the presidency. Estrada's populist appeal and Ramos's modernization agenda both converged with the centennial commemorations, making the 5-peso coin a circulating reminder of national pride in a politically transitional era. For the people, the coin became an accessible way to participate in the centennial. Not everyone could attend the parades, reenactments, or official ceremonies, but every Filipino who handled a 5-peso coin in 1998 was in some way a participant in the remembrance of the nation's birth. The reverse of the coin, featuring the newly established Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas seal, was equally significant. The BSP had been restructured in 1993 after the old central bank faced difficulties, and its new mandate emphasized stability, accountability, and modernization of the financial system. By placing the seal on the coin, the government underscored the new central bank's authority and its role in guiding the nation into the 21st century. The coin therefore symbolized not only a look back at the sacrifices of 1898, but also a look forward toward financial modernization and economic growth. For the Philippines, this duality of past and future made the coin unique in the history of Philippine numismatics. If coins could speak, they would tell us stories of nations, of leaders, of struggles, and of pride. Today, we hold in our hands a small, round piece of metal that carries the weight of a country's journey, a coin that may seem ordinary in value yet extraordinary in meaning. This is the story of the Philippine 5 Piso 2002 coin. The Philippine 5 Piso 2002 coin is more than a simple unit of currency. It is a living witness of the nation's economy, culture, and historical identity, minted by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. It was part of the new BSP coin series introduced to modernize the currency and represent Filipino heritage in a new and distinctive form. The coin was first issued during the early years of the 2000s, a period when the Philippines was undergoing shifts in both political and economic structures. It replaced earlier issues of the 5-peso denomination that had long circulated since the 1990s. This coin is made of nickel-plated steel, a change in composition. Chosen to balance cost-effectiveness, durability, and security against counterfeiting, the metal gives the coin its silvery appearance, which differentiated it clearly from the golden tone of the 1-peso coin and the smaller values in brass or copper, nickel alloys. This material choice symbolized the adaptation of the Philippines to global trends in minting, where durability and mass production efficiency were critical. On the obverse side of the coin, we see the bold image of Emilio Aguinaldo, the first president of the Philippines and a central figure in the nation's struggle for independence from Spanish colonial rule. His portrait was selected to highlight his enduring role in history, reminding every Filipino who spent this coin of the sacrifices made during the revolution against Spain. The depiction was not only a celebration of Aguinaldo's leadership, but also a statement of national pride in the identity of the Republic. The placement of the text, Republika ng Pilipinas, and the year of minting further anchored the design within a modern yet historically conscious framework. Turning to the reverse of the coin, we find the image of the BSP seal, a symbol of financial authority, stability, and governance. The seal represented the mission of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas to maintain monetary stability and safeguard the value of the peso in a time when the economy was seeking growth and international recognition. By featuring the BSP seal, the coin was not just money. For trade, it was a reminder of the guardianship of national wealth and economic sovereignty. The 5-peso denomination has always played a crucial role in the Philippine economy, being a middle value. It bridges the gap between small, everyday transactions and higher denominations often used for bigger purchases. In the early 2000s, the 5-peso coin was widely used for public transport fares, for small food items in markets, for educational expenses like photocopying or school supplies, and for donations. In church offerings, it was a coin deeply tied to the rhythm of everyday life, circulating through millions of hands across the archipelago. The 2002 series of coins also marked a turning point in Philippine numismatics, the transition from the flora and fauna series of the late 1980s and early 1990s to the new BSP coin series represented a broader attempt to align currency design with modern themes of leadership governance and state authority. Instead of plants and animals, the focus shifted. Toward national heroes and institutional symbols, it reflected a change in how the Philippines wished to project itself both domestically and internationally. Numismatists and collectors often view the 2002 5 peso coin as a significant piece because it embodies this change, its circulation. Was heavy meaning, most examples today show considerable wear, yet well-preserved specimens have gained interest among collectors not because of rarity, but because of the historical narrative they represent. Some coins were struck with small minting variations or errors, which can command higher value in the collector's market. These include slight misalignments, doubling in inscriptions, or changes in luster due to minting conditions. The size and weight of the coin also played a role in how it was received. It measures 27 millimeters in diameter and weighs 7 grams, making it larger than the 1 peso coin and giving it a tactile presence in the pocket or purse. The ridged edges added a sense of security and also allowed blind individuals to distinguish it more easily from other denominations in daily use. This was an important aspect of coinage design, as accessibility was a part of its purpose. The year 2002 itself carries context for this issue. The Philippines at the time was under the presidency of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, who faced challenges in governance, economic reform, and political instability. The 5 peso coin minted during this period therefore circulated in an environment of national adaptation and change. It became part of the everyday struggle of Filipinos seeking progress, stability, and a better life. And as such, the coin was a silent participant in that history. Beyond economics and politics, coins like the 5 peso 2002 carry cultural meaning. Many Filipinos recall the coin as part of childhood memories, whether through buying food at sari-sari stores, playing traditional street games where coins were tossed or collected, or being taught the value of saving by filling coin banks. It symbolized lessons in responsibility, thrift, and the tangible weight of money for ordinary families. The 5 peso was sometimes used as a token in festivities, as part of small wagers, or as symbolic gifts in traditions where money represented blessings. From a broader perspective, the 5 peso 2002 coin represents the continuation of a narrative that stretches back to earlier peso systems, from the Spanish reals to the American-era pesos to the post-independence coinage. Each iteration of currency marked a stage in Philippine history and identity. The 2002 coin stands as a bridge between old and new traditions, a link in the chain of evolving monetary design. Collectors today analyze the 2002 5 peso coin, not only for its numismatic qualities, but also for what it says about the nation. At that moment in time, it was mass-produced, with millions entering circulation, yet each coin became a personal witness to the lives of those who used it, from jeepney drivers to students to vendors and professionals in offices. Its presence was universal, making it one of the most democratic forms of historical artifact. It belonged to everyone and was touched by everyone. As time passed later, coin series would again change the design of the 5 peso denomination, eventually featuring Andres Bonifacio and later adopting a different shape and feel. The 2002 issue therefore stands frozen in memory as the Aguinaldo coin, a coin that captured a period when the nation chose to honor its first president while emphasizing the role of the central bank in national life. It is both a symbol of pride and a reminder of transition. Thus, when we hold a 5 peso 2002 coin today, we are not simply holding metal, we are holding a story of national identity, economic resilience, political struggles, and cultural memory. It is a piece of everyday history disguised as a common coin, and through it we can trace the journey of the Philippines in the early 21st century. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that is not just a piece of metal, but a silent witness to the economic struggles, the cultural identity, and the political transformation of an entire nation. The 10 peso coin of 2002 is more than just currency. It is a story stamped in nickel brass, a symbol of the Philippines during a time of reform growth and shifting values, and when you look at its face, you are not only seeing numbers and engravings, you are staring at history compressed into the size of a small circle. This coin is part of the BSP New Design series first introduced in the late 1980s, but the 2002 issue of the 10 peso carries special weight because it marked the solidification of a denomination that had been introduced just a few years earlier in 2000 to replace the old 10 peso banknote, which wore out quickly in circulation. The decision to move from paper to coin was not simply economic, it was strategic, as the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas sought to modernize currency, production reduce replacement costs, and create a stronger, longer-lasting medium of exchange, and the coin itself was a bold departure in design and symbolism. On its obverse, the front side, you see the dual portraits of Apolinario Mabini, known as the Sublime Paralytic, and Andres Bonifacio, the father of the Philippine Revolution. Two heroes who represent wisdom and action, intellect and bravery, ideals that define the struggle for Philippine independence. Their inclusion side by side was a deliberate act of remembrance by the nation, a way to teach generations through their coins about sacrifice and leadership. On the reverse, the coin bears the BSP seal, which had been newly redesigned in 1993 to mark the independence of the Central Bank. This seal symbolizes stability, trust, and authority over monetary policy. Surrounding the seal are inscriptions declaring the value of the coin, the year of minting 2002, and the official name of the country Republika ng Pilipinas, the 10 peso. Coin of 2002 is composed of a bimetallic structure with an inner core made of aluminum bronze and an outer ring made of copper nickel. This design was chosen to prevent counterfeiting, to give the coin a unique identity in circulation, and to ensure durability in everyday use. The choice of metals was practical, but it also gave the coin a distinct look that immediately set it apart from smaller denominations for the Filipino public. It became instantly recognizable in markets in jeepney fare, payments, and in the daily hustle of life. This coin also carried with it economic meaning. By 2002, the Philippines was facing challenges in inflation, public trust in institutions, and the slow rebuilding of its economy after the Asian financial crisis of 1997. The release of durable higher denomination coins like the 10 peso was a small but significant step toward creating stability in everyday transactions. The shift away from banknotes to coins for such a widely used value reduced costs for the government and ensured smoother commerce. The portraits of Mabini and Bonifacio on the obverse are not accidental. Mabini was the brilliant mind behind the revolutionary government and the first prime minister of the Philippines. Though bound to a wheelchair, he was unstoppable in his intellectual fight for independence. Bonifacio, on the other hand, was the fiery revolutionary leader who sparked the Katipunan uprising against Spanish rule. His courage and leadership symbolized the fighting spirit of ordinary Filipinos. Placing them together was not only a tribute, but also a lesson that both intellect and action are needed to achieve freedom and progress. Now, when we consider the year 2002 itself, it was a period when Gloria Macapagal Arroyo had just taken over the presidency following the EDSA II revolution. It was a time of transition, of questions of leadership, and of efforts to stabilize the country politically and economically. Coins like the 10 peso of that year circulated in this climate, quietly passing from hand to hand. While the nation debated its path forward to collectors today, the 2002 10 peso coin holds interest not just for its design, but also because it belongs to the early years of this bi-metallic coinage. Some 2002 issues were minted in relatively lower numbers compared to later years, making them more desirable in numismatic circles. Factors like condition, mint luster, and circulation wear greatly influence their value, and yet even an ordinary, well-used piece tells a story of resilience, of jeepney rides, market bargaining, and the simple, everyday survival of Filipinos. In that period, the 10 peso coin of 2002 also laid the groundwork for later debates on design security and cultural symbolism. Eventually, the BSP would redesign and release the new generation currency coin series in 2018, replacing this version. But the legacy of the 2002 coin lives on as part of a chapter when Philippine coinage transitioned into modernity and durability. So when you hold the 10 peso coin of 2002, do not just see it as money. See it as a mirror of the nation, a metal archive of sacrifice, reform, resilience, and culture, a story you can hold in your palm and a symbol of how a small, everyday object carries the weight of history. This is the power of coins. They are teachers, storytellers, and silent companions to every era of life in the Philippines. And the 10 peso 2002 coin is one of the finest examples of that legacy. The story of the 10 peso coin of 2002 begins long before the year stamped on its surface. It is a story that traces back to the roots of Philippine money itself, and to understand why the coin even exists, we must first look at the broader background of Philippine currency. The Philippines has always used money not only as a tool of trade, but also as a tool of national identity, from the early barter systems to the arrival of the Spanish, who introduced cobs and reales to the American period, where the peso was restructured to the independence era, where the Central Bank of the Philippines and later the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas sought to unify and modernize the nation's currency. Every change in money reflected a change in history, and when the 10 peso coin emerged in 2000 and carried into the 2002 issues, it was not simply a random decision, but part of a deeper shift before the coin. There was the 10 peso banknote issued during the new design series starting in the late 1980s. The note carried the portrait of Apolinario Mabini, and it was widely circulated, but banknotes wear out quickly in daily use, especially in a tropical country where humidity, sweat folding, and heavy circulation damage paper money fast. By the late 1990s, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas realized that it was spending too much on printing and replacing low-denomination notes, so the idea was born to shift the 10 peso into coin form, more durable, longer-lasting, and in line with global practices where higher denomination coins are used for efficiency. Thus, in 2000, the first bimetallic 10 peso coin was introduced, and by 2002 it was already in stable circulation. The 2002 coin belongs to the early years of this series, and collectors today look back at it with special interest because early issues sometimes have subtle variations in minting that make them more collectible. The very choice of a bimetallic design was significant. Most Philippine coins had been made of a single metal, but the two-tone look of a brass core and a nickel ring gave it prestige. It made the 10 peso stand out in the pocket, and also served as an anti-counterfeiting measure at a time when fake notes and coins were a growing concern. On the obverse of the 2002 coin, you will find two heroes, Apolinario Mabini and Andres Bonifacio, together. This was not a random pairing, it was a deliberate message. Bonifacio, the man of action, the revolutionary leader who rallied the masses to fight for independence, and Mabini, the thinker, the strategist, the intellectual who shaped the direction of the revolutionary government. Both had lived through sacrifice, both had given their lives to the nation. Bonifacio was executed by his own fellow Filipinos during internal conflicts of the revolution, and Mabini died young, paralyzed yet never defeated in spirit. Placing them together on one coin was a reminder to every Filipino that courage and intellect go hand in hand. The 10 peso coin of 2003 is more than just a piece of money. It is a chapter in the continuing history of the Philippines, told through metal design and circulation. When we look at this coin, we are not just looking at currency, but at a story of the Filipino people, their struggles, their leaders, their heritage, and their path toward modernization. The 10 peso coin was first introduced in 2000 as a replacement for the old banknote of the same denomination, and the year 2003 marked one of the significant production batches of this coin under the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. The transition from paper to coinage was not a simple change. It was a reflection of economic and practical concerns. The government realized that coins last far longer than paper notes. While a paper bill might survive for only a year or two, a coin could circulate for decades. This made it more cost-effective for the central bank to mint coins for frequently used denominations like the 10 peso. The 10 Piso 2003 coin carried the image of two of the most important figures in Philippine history on the obverse. We see the portraits of Andres Bonifacio, the father of the Philippine Revolution, and Apolinario Mabini, the sublime paralytic and brains of the revolution. Both men symbolize the fight for independence against Spanish colonial rule. Their presence together on one coin was not accidental. It was carefully chosen to remind Filipinos of the sacrifices of those who built the foundation of the nation. Bonifacio, known for his courage and leadership in founding, the Katipunan represents action, strength, and the will of the people. Mabini, despite being paralyzed from the waist down, used his intellect and sharp political vision to guide the revolution. And later the First Philippine Republic, he represents wisdom and strategy together. Their faces side by side stand for unity of mind and body, courage and intellect, both necessary for nation building. The reverse side of the 10 peso 2003 coin features the logo of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, surrounded by the year of minting. This symbol is important as it represents the authority of the nation's central financial institution, which was tasked with ensuring stability. In the monetary system, the logo is not only a mark of authenticity, but also a reminder of the modernization of the Philippine economy in the early 2000s. From a technical perspective, the 10 peso 2003 coin is a bimetallic coin, which means it is composed of two different metals joined together. The outer ring is made of nickel brass, while the inner core is cupronickel. This combination gave the coin a distinctive look that made it difficult to counterfeit. The weight of the coin is 8.7 grams and its diameter measures 26.5 millimeters. The use of bimetallic technology at that time was considered advanced in Philippine coinage, and it symbolized a nation moving forward with innovation while still honoring its past. Now, when we think about the year 2003, in context, the Philippines was undergoing important economic reforms under President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. The government was seeking to strengthen the peso, modernize the economy, and stabilize prices. The circulation of the 10 peso coin was part of this broader plan to maintain trust in the currency. Coins were not just everyday tools, they were national symbols. The central bank carefully considered every detail, from the choice of heroes to the metallic composition and size, because every coin carried the image of the Philippines into the hands of millions of citizens every single day. Collectors pay particular attention to the 2003 issue because it was one of the earlier mintages of the bimetallic 10 peso coin. The mintage figures were significant, but certain variations in production, such as slight differences in strike and wear, can make some coins more desirable over time. When comparing the 2003 coin with later years, one can see minor changes in minting sharpness and detail, which adds to the depth of its numismatic study. Beyond its technical aspects, the coin has cultural and symbolic significance in Filipino life. The 10 peso coin often exchanged hands in wet markets, jeepney rides, sari stores, and daily transactions. It became one of the most visible and practical coins in circulation, and through that daily use, it tied together the stories of Bonifacio and Mabini with the everyday experiences of millions of Filipinos every time someone held the coin. They carried a silent reminder of sacrifice, courage, and wisdom in their pocket. In terms of design philosophy, the choice of two heroes rather than one was groundbreaking in Philippine numismatics. Most earlier coins carried the image of a single national hero, but the 10 peso coin emphasized collective effort and dual leadership in nation building. This dual portrait was also a teaching tool. younger generations who may have forgotten or not been taught about Bonifacio and Mabini in depth could be reminded of their legacy simply by using money. By 2003, the coin had been circulating for only 3 years, yet it had already made a mark on both the economy and culture of the Philippines. Its durability proved that shifting from the 10 peso banknote to a coin was a wise decision. The savings for the government were substantial because while banknotes needed constant replacement, coins could withstand years of heavy use. Some coins from 2000 and 2003 are still in circulation today, showing how effective this transition was. As the years passed, the 10 peso coin also sparked debates among Filipinos regarding design aesthetics. Some admired its bimetallic construction and the strong imagery of two heroes. Others found it too bulky compared to smaller denominations, but regardless of opinion, it remained a central part of Philippine currency. When studied from a numismatic lens, the 10 peso 2003 coin is a bridge between tradition and modernity, between the heroic past and the practical needs of the present. Its production process tells us about the priorities of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Its imagery tells us about the values of the Filipino nation, and its continued use tells us about the resilience of both the people and their money system. If we extend this discussion into 2 hours, we can explore deeper layers such as the biographies of Andres Bonifacio and Apolinario Mabini, the circumstances of their revolutionary work, their impact on the nation, and how their presence on the coin reflects not just history but also lessons for the future. We can analyze the economic conditions of the early 2000s, the decision-making inside the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the challenges of counterfeiting, and how the introduction of bimetallic coins addressed those concerns. We can also dive into cultural stories of how this coin was used by everyday Filipinos, how it influenced memories of childhood jeepney rides and market purchases, and how it became a familiar sound and sight in daily life. Ultimately, the 10 peso 2003 coin is not just a round piece of metal, it is a capsule of Philippine history, carrying within it the memory of revolutionary heroes, the progress of a modernizing nation, and the countless daily experiences of its people. It connects the past to the present and will continue to be studied, remembered, and collected by future generations. The 10 peso 2003 coin must be understood in the broader timeline of Philippine coinage history because every coin that has ever been minted in the country reflects a moment in time, a philosophy of governance, and a direction for the future before the 10 peso coin. There was a long tradition of using banknotes for higher denominations. The 10 peso bill had been around for decades, featuring the face of Apolinario Mabini, and it was familiar to generations of Filipinos, but paper bills wear out very quickly in tropical climates. They tear, they fade, they disintegrate after just a few months in circulation. This presented a constant challenge for the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, which had to spend large sums of money just to keep replacing notes. The decision to transition to coins was therefore a rational response to both economic and practical conditions, but it was also symbolic. A coin conveys permanence, weight, and durability. Unlike paper, a coin feels more solid, more lasting. When the central bank introduced the 10 peso coin in 2000, they were signaling not only financial efficiency, but also the idea of a more modern, resilient Philippine currency. By the time the 2003 issue came out, the public was already familiar with the look and feel of the bimetallic coin, but it was still considered new and somewhat prestigious compared to smaller denominations. The choice of heroes on the obverse side is particularly important. Andres Bonifacio was a revolutionary leader whose image had often been overshadowed by José Rizal in textbooks and commemorations. Rizal was seen as the intellectual martyr. Bonifacio was seen as the man of action, but in truth, both were central to the liberation of the Philippines. The inclusion of Bonifacio on the coin elevated his place in the national memory, reminding citizens that independence was not just about ideas, but also about bravery and sacrifice on the battlefield. Beside him, Apollinario Mabini represented another dimension of nation-building paralyzed by polio. At a young age, he never allowed his disability to define his limits. Instead, he became the intellectual backbone of the revolution, writing essays and manifestos that shaped the first concepts of Philippine governance. His vision for democracy and national unity was critical during the turbulent years after Spanish rule, when the Philippines briefly became the first republic in Asia by putting Mabini and Bonifacio together. The coin reminded Filipinos that progress comes from both strength and wisdom, from both courage and intelligence. Have you ever held a coin in your hand and wondered how much history, tradition, and culture it truly carries today? We will dive into one of the most fascinating modern coins of the Philippines, the 10 peso coin of 2004. A coin that represents not only value in commerce, but also deep heritage and remarkable design. The 2004 issue belongs to the BSP New Design Series, which was introduced in 1985 and carried forward into the early 2000s. This coin holds the stories of two great Filipino heroes, Apollinario Mabini, known as the Sublime Paralytic, and Andres Bonifacio, the father of the Philippine Revolution. Both of them are immortalized on the obverse side, their portraits placed together symbolizing courage, intellect, and the will of the Filipino people to rise for independence. The 2004 10 peso coin was produced by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas as part of an effort to replace lower denomination banknotes with durable coinage. This decision was influenced by practical needs. Coins last much longer than paper money, and the 10 peso banknote, which was once very common in circulation, was slowly withdrawn in favor of the bi-metallic coin. The coin itself is bimetallic with a golden-colored center made from aluminum bronze and a silver-colored ring made from copper nickel. This combination not only makes the coin visually appealing, but also significantly improves its durability and resistance to wear, and counterfeiting measures surrounding its design were not simply about aesthetics. They represented economic planning, cultural symbolism, and technological advancement for the Philippines during the early 2000s. On the obverse side, as mentioned, the faces of Mabini and Bonifacio dominate. Mabini represents intellect, political guidance, and the moral foundation of the Filipino struggle, while Bonifacio represents the fighting spirit, revolutionary leadership, and the power of the masses. Together, their presence on the coin sends a powerful message that true independence is achieved not just by the sword, but also by wisdom and principle. Above the portraits lies the text, Republika ng Pilipinas, while below is the year, marked 2004, which signifies the year of minting. Also inscribed is the denomination, 10 peso clear, bold and prominent. The reverse side of the coin shows the logo of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, introduced in 1993 after the establishment of the new central bank. This logo consists of a sun with rays agear, 3 stars, and a stylized Philippine eagle. The sun symbolizes light and freedom. The gear represents industry and progress. The eagle represents strength and independence, and the 3 stars represent Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This design is a stamp of authenticity and authority, signifying that the currency is a legal tender under the management of the BSP. The edge of the coin is reeded, giving it a distinct feel when handled, which also helps to prevent counterfeiting. When the 2004 version entered circulation, it gradually replaced the older 10 peso banknote. Many Filipinos initially found it unusual to use a coin for what was traditionally a paper denomination, but over time its acceptance grew as people realized its convenience and durability in everyday transactions. The coin was minted in large quantities as the Philippine economy in the early 2000s was growing and demand for durable currency was high. This period was marked by modernization of banking and finance systems, and the coinage was part of this transition from paper to metal in terms of collectability. The 2004 10 peso coin is not extremely rare, but it holds significant historical importance. Collectors often seek pieces in uncirculated or proof-like condition, with original luster intact. As they represent the peak of minting quality, some coins were included in official BSP mint sets, making them even more desirable among serious numismatists. The coin also marks an important chapter in the ongoing evolution of Philippine coinage. Before it, the 10 peso coin was introduced in 2000 as the first bimetallic coin of the country, and the 2004 version continued this tradition, making it part of a series that today is remembered as a turning point in modern Philippine numismatics. The coin reflects the national identity by balancing history, culture, and economic function in one small metallic object. It is not just money. It is a miniature monument that millions of Filipinos carried in their pockets every day during its peak. Circulation era every time it changed hands in markets, jeepney fairs, or small shops. It reminded people of the revolutionary sacrifices and the continuing story of the nation. The portraits of Bonifacio and Mabini made sure that everyday Filipinos could connect with their heroic past without needing to visit museums or history books. For numismatic researchers, the 2004 10 peso coin provides insight into production techniques of the BSP mint, which had improved in terms of precision metal, composition, and anti-counterfeit strategies. By this time, bimetallic coins were already used worldwide in countries like France, Italy, and Mexico, and the Philippines' adoption signified integration with global monetary trends in examining the coin. One must also reflect on its weight size and dimensions, which were carefully standardized. The outer ring, silver in color, is 27 millimeters in diameter, while the inner core, golden in hue, gives it a distinct two-tone look that is easily recognizable. This made it hard to confuse with lower denomination coins like the 5 peso or higher denominations, which stayed as banknotes. The circulation life of the 2004 issue was long-lasting, and many pieces remained in daily use until the introduction of the new generation currency coin series in 2018, when a new design was introduced that phased out the bimetallic 10 peso style. This makes the 2004 coin an important bridge between the old and new currency eras of the Philippines beyond commerce. And collecting the coin carries meaning in education, as teachers often used coins like this to introduce young students to heroes Bonifacio and Mabini, sparking curiosity about history, while also teaching basic math and monetary values. This shows how coins can have cultural, educational, and symbolic purposes beyond financial transactions, looking at its legacy. The 2004 10 peso coin is remembered as part of the new design series that lasted more than 3 decades in Philippine coinage history. This makes it a cornerstone for anyone studying the evolution of money in the country. It embodies resilience, progress, and remembrance. Each coin in circulation carried the story of a people who endured colonization, revolution, and modernization. And in its metal surface are inscribed not only the images of leaders, but also the struggles and victories of a nation. The story of the 10 peso coin of 2004 cannot be understood in isolation. It is part of a larger tapestry of Philippine history, currency reform, and national identity. To fully grasp its importance, we must look deeper into its origins, the heroes that it honors, the economy that gave birth to it, and the journey it took from minting presses to the hands of everyday Filipinos. The new design series, in which the 2004 issue belongs, was first launched in 1985 during a time of political transition and financial challenges in the Philippines. The purpose of this new series was to update the look of Philippine money, unify design elements, and strengthen the sense of national identity by featuring important heroes and cultural symbols. By the early 2000s, the series was still in circulation, and one of its most remarkable creations was the bimetallic 10 peso coin, the first of its kind in the country, introduced in 2000 by 2004. This design had already gained familiarity among Filipinos, and was becoming a common sight in markets, jeepneys, buses, and sari-sari stores. The 2004 issue in particular represents a steady period of coin production when the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas focused on mass distribution durability and anti-counterfeit measures. This coin carried the weight of modernization and at the same time the richness of Filipino history and values. To truly appreciate the coin, we must first revisit the two men immortalized on its obverse side, Apolinario Mabini and Andres Bonifacio. Apolinario Mabini, known as the Sublime Paralytic, was born in 1864 in Tanawan, Batangas. Despite contracting polio at a young age which left him paralyzed from the waist down, Mabini rose to become one of the sharpest minds of the Philippine Revolution. He studied law at the University of Santo Tomas and became a trusted advisor to General Emilio Aguinaldo, serving as the first Prime Minister of the First Philippine Republic. His brilliance in political philosophy, law, and ethics earned him the title Brain of the Revolution. Mabini believed that true independence could not simply be declared, it had to be founded on justice, equality, and good governance. His writings, like the true Decalogue, guided the moral compass of the revolutionary movement. Placing Mabini on the 10 peso coin was a reminder to Filipinos that intellect, principles, and integrity were as crucial as weapons in the fight for freedom. Beside Mabini stands Andres Bonifacio, the father of the Philippine Revolution, born in 1863 in Tondo, Manila. Bonifacio did not come from wealth. His parents died when he was young, forcing him to work as a warehouse clerk, messenger, and craftsman. Yet he had an undying love for his country. Inspired by Jose Rizal's writings, he founded the Katipunan, a secret revolutionary society that sought to overthrow Spanish colonial rule through armed struggle. Unlike Rizal, who pursued peaceful reform, Bonifacio believed that liberty could only be won through revolution. His leadership ignited the 1896 uprising against Spain, marking the birth of Philippine independence. Although he died in 1897, his legacy lives on as a symbol of courage, sacrifice,